Victor Davis Hanson. You recently wrote a piece called Insurrection's Chic, where you make the case that the left is fomenting a kind of violence and a Trump derangement syndrome writ large that is, in fact, dangerous. And here we are.
Yeah, we saw that in the president's first term when we had a lot of retired generals who came out and said he should be removed sooner the better. We had the chairman of the Joint Chiefs said he wouldn't obey an order from the president if he thought it was dangerous, contacted his Chinese People's Liberation Army counterpart. We had a lieutenant colonel who said that the 82nd Airborne would have to fight its way and take Trump out of office. Then we saw these 6 representatives and senators basically tell 1.3 million people, you can decide when a law, what you, in your opinion as a lawyer, I suppose, think, and none of them are lawyers in most cases, what's legal and not legal, and then act accordingly to your own wishes. That was a recipe for disaster. So it's kind of a perfect storm that we're seeing, that the general deterrence that law enforcement and the judicial system have is shot. We saw that with DeCarlos Brown in Charlottesville and Lawrence Reed, 73 arrests, 14 arrests, nothing happened. So the criminal thinks nothing's going to happen to me. And then we saw the same thing, that you can disobey an order or a law depending on what you think. We had Governor Pritzker, we had Governor Newsom, we had Nancy Pelosi, we had Mayor-elect Mondami, all saying that state or local law enforcement would confront ICE, and that was anti-constitutional. So the illegal immigrant says, well, maybe there's going to be people on my side. And when you call ICE, as people have, Nazis and Gestapo or slave patrols, what did they think was going to happen? So now we have millions of people here illegally, and we have millions of criminals who have been let out prematurely, and you've got a recipe for an ungodly tragedy, and that's what's happening. I think it's going to keep happening, unfortunately, Kellyanne.
Sadly, you're probably right about that. We can expect more tragedy and violence. I think the president tonight, though, really was very firm and very resolute, Victor, in terms of what he plans to do in evaluating each and every alien who is here and should not be. And, Victor, it strikes me, so many people say, gosh, Biden didn't do anything. He was just this doddering fool with no capacity. They did plenty that has hurt this country. And I think we're seeing the fruits of that tonight. We all remember the Afghans hanging off the U.S. military plane, and they fell to their deaths, of course. But we don't hear as much about all the ones that were flown over here again and again and again, as Stephen Miller said. I have a question for you, Victor Davis Hanson. We all have Democrats in our lives, of course, family, friends, colleagues. When did that party start coddling criminals and vilifying law enforcement and vilifying victims? It seems like an entire party is willing to do that. Why and how did this happen?
I don't think they have a message or agenda that people favor. So they either have to cause total chaos, kind of a chaos theory, and they think the American voter will get in a fetal position and say, make it all go away. And a lot of it's directed at Donald Trump, the hatred. Or they have to open the borders and bring in new constituencies. But the common denominator is they don't feel in an open and fair election, especially one where people appear in person at the polls, they can win on the issues. So they have to go to ad hominem and create chaos and the violence. The Tesla dealerships are burned, the smutty videos, the F word, the SHIT, all of that to create a general system of chaos and disruption. And then they'll want somebody to step in and say, it's too chaotic. And they did that with the COVID lockdown in 2020. They saw that Donald Trump had a really brilliant first term, and then the chaos of the lockdown, and that's how it worked for them. They're going to try it again.
Yeah, well, the Democrats seem to be for kicks and clicks, and the president's for law and order. Victor Davis Hanson, thank you for joining me. Happy Thanksgiving.